Let's talk about something that's driving us all a little crazy right now. It's a very modern problem, but the solution might just be thousands of years old.
Now, seriously, think about it. When was the last time you're just scrolling and there it is, another argument, another person who is just completely, totally wrong? You can feel that heat starting in your chest, right? Because it always boils down to this, doesn't it? This one simple, exhausting equation that seems to be running the world right now. I mean, we are living in an age of absolute rage. It's blue versus red, it's cancel culture versus defensive outrage. You look at your phone and you feel that tight little knot forming in your chest. And we're told this anger is good, that we need to love our side and fight the other guys. But what if this entire way of thinking is wrong? What if it's a trap? Well, about 2,400 years ago, a man named Mozi looked at a world that was tearing itself apart and basically said exactly that. He saw the same destructive pattern we see every single day and called it out for what it was. To really get what he was saying, you have to picture his world. Mozi lived during the warring states period in ancient China. So imagine today's social media, but with actual swords. Every kingdom was at war with every other kingdom, and every single one of them claimed they were the good guys, that their cause was the just one. Sound familiar at all? And this is where Mozi's genius just shines. He didn't give some big, boring lecture. He used these simple, disarming bits of logic. He'd ask kings and generals this question. And of course, they all said, yeah, obviously, stealing a chicken is wrong. It's a baseline we can all agree on. Then he'd just scale it up. Okay, they didn't have cars, maybe a horse and cart, but you get the idea. The logic is exactly the same. The crime gets bigger, and our condemnation gets stronger. That's just common sense. And boom, there's the punchline. This just perfectly exposes the hypocrisy, doesn't it? Mozi laid bare this insane flaw in how we think. We condemn the small-time crime against someone in our own circle, but we literally celebrate massive atrocities when they're committed against them. Suddenly, theft and murder get rebranded as honor and glory. Mozi actually had a name for this sickness: parochial love. It literally just means loving only your own people. And he saw it as the root cause of all the chaos, this bias filter that completely distorts our sense of right and wrong and justifies all the madness. So, what was his solution? Well, it was something so radical yet so incredibly simple that it was almost completely wiped from history. He called it Jian'ai, which we can translate as universal love, or maybe even better, impartial care. And this contrast is everything, you guys. Parochial love, our default setting, is all emotion and bias. It's all about us over them, and that always leads to conflict. But Jian'ai, that's logical, it's impartial. It says everyone should be valued equally, and here's the key part, it creates efficiency. Okay, this is the part that everybody gets wrong about Mozi's whole philosophy. He was not some hippie telling you to feel a big, gushy, romantic love for your enemies. Not at all. He was a practical guy, an engineer. For Mozi, universal love wasn't a feeling. It was a cold, hard, logical algorithm for survival. I mean, just think about it from a purely practical point of view. War is a colossal waste of resources. All that online rage, it's a complete waste of your energy. Extremism doesn't just hurt the other side. Eventually, it burns down your own house too. Mozi's point was that impartial care is simply the most efficient way to run a society and, in the end, to keep yourself safe. So how do we actually do this? How do we put it into practice? Well, Mozi gave us this mental tool. Let's call it the impartial scale. Just picture it. You're holding this scale. On one side, you put someone or something you care deeply about, your family, your country. On the other side, you put a stranger, a neighbor, another country. And then you just ask the question, in terms of their basic humanity, their basic rights, are their lives of equal weight? And listen, this is the crucial part. Mozi knew you're always going to feel more for your own family. Of course you will. He wasn't naive. The scale is not trying to change your emotions. It's trying to challenge your logic. It's asking you to admit that everyone has the same fundamental right to exist and not be harmed, no matter how you personally feel about them. Which brings us all the way back to that moment, right? Staring at your screen, feeling that knot in your chest. The next time you feel that surge of rage, that burning need to win an argument, just for a second, remember Mozi's scale. And then ask yourself this one question. Are you fighting to build a better world for everyone? Or are you just trying to prove that your team is better than theirs? Because according to a philosopher from 2,400 years ago, one of those paths leads to survival, and the other, well, it's just stupid. and it's costing us everything.
Subscribe for daily wisdom.